Three. All right. Good evening, everybody, wherever you may be watching us from. This is Stand Up Fight Back, where we discuss strategy analysis for the progressive movement. Tonight, we have a very exciting broadcast for you. As we have been promising, we are going to be starting a series of talks and conversations regarding building community organizing. I am so excited to have two of the most dedicated organizers here in Southern California, not only organizers, but also friends and just overall powerful women that are out there putting themselves on the line every single day in behalf of the communities. They are building communities by their organizing. Tonight, want to welcome everybody, whether you're watching us in the East Coast or wherever here in Southern California. It is a beautiful, gorgeous Sunday evening here in Southern California.
Mhm,
The sun is out. It's being a
mhm.
little bit warm, but look, we are blessed. We are enjoying the company of our families and what have you. And I'm going to have a special guest for you tonight in a couple of minutes. But before I do that, I would like to welcome our guest, Michelle Verne. She is the president of the Feel the Bern San Fernando Club over in San Fernando. Again, San Fernando, a beautiful part of the town here in Los Angeles where so much is happening. Also, vice president of the Feel the Bern San Fernando Club, we have our friend Betty Doumas-Toto. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for saying my
Hey.
name right. Usually, very well done.
Good.
Thanks, Carla.
So,
Thanks for having us.
thank you so much, you guys, for being with us. We're going to have a pretty interesting conversation tonight because will be hopefully the beginning of several broadcasts where we discuss building community organizing. It's so very important because, as you know, right now we are living in a moment that is very stressful for a lot of people. Some people are walking away from they don't want to hear nothing to do with politics. They are fed up. People are hurting out there. Communities, we see it no matter where you go, no matter what state it is. You see a lot of the communities hurting. Come on in. So we are going to be talking about that and how is it that we can respond as a movement. We have seen in the past different movements, whether it be Martin Luther King, we have the, movement after movement that has come and gone, but all of them served a specific time, a specific place, uh, and also specific issues. And but now we have so many multiple issues hurting our communities, and I think it's really key for us to learn how to organize our communities. Um, and you want to welcome the guest, Michelle, and then Betty, and then we're gonna jump right into our
Okay.
discussion for tonight.
Sounds great, Carla. Yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle. Welcome the audience.
Oh. Hey, everybody. I'm Michelle Verne from Field of Verne, San Fernando Valley, president. And tonight we're here to discuss building community organizing. And I wanted to start by reading a quote from MLK, which is power, properly understood, is nothing but the ability to achieve purpose. It is the strength required to bring about social, political, and economic change. Um, so this is really about building power within our communities. And with that, we're going to discuss different strategies, and then I'm going to talk about our core values at Field of Bern San Fernando Valley, and then we're going to discuss our strategies that we use, and then we'll go from there, and we'll have discussion in between. Carlos, was there anything else you wanted to say before we get started, or?
Yes, yes, I do. Actually, I want to welcome. Oh my goodness, that's my little
No.
one.
Oh,
How you doing?
Oh, we're trying to make life
That's my Chloe.
better. Don't
That's my
cry.
Chloe. But she's so
Hello.
beautiful. That's fine.
Hello.
It's time for her to eat.
It's just like,
It's time for her to eat. But I wanted to say hello
Oh,
to
she's
meet my
adorable.
granddaughter,
She's
and I'm
adorable.
spending a
And
little time with her. She actually has a little cold,
oh,
so
okay.
Oh,
she's
that
been
stinks.
a little struggling. But um, Betty, how are you today?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having both Michelle and I on. We as a club and as individuals are, we collaborate with you, Carlos, but we're always trying to build community through our organizing work. And whatever we can do to answer any questions or help other folks in the endeavors that they have, Field of Bern and the board and the members are there, there to help folks out. We're in the valley, which is still Los Angeles. I know people forget that because it's huge, but it's still, part of the Los Angeles city. And we concentrate a lot of our work, but we always find ourselves moving past those boundaries for whatever is needed, on the ground.
Right. It's very important to note that um, the reason why we want to do this kind of broadcast is because exactly what you're saying. I mean, you're connecting communities, you supporting other organizations, other groups, uh, different issues. I know that you guys literally get involved in almost any kind of issue that affects the communities. But let's be clear, we are living right now in a time and age that is very, very stressful for people. People are hurting like I have not seen before. I mean, a lot of people are numb to the things that are happening, or they're just choosing to try to survive the best way they can. But when we are looking at the cost of living, when we are looking at the healthcare system that we live in, when you are looking at the education system that indebts their children for the rest of their lives, when we are looking issue after issue, you wonder how is it that people still keep it together,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of them is by simply ignoring. They don't want to get involved. They don't
Nothing.
want to hear nothing about it,
Mhm.
and in the
Absolutely
meantime,
ignore
you
it.
have people like Donald Trump facing 4 criminal, cases against them. Actually, more than 4 cases, but overall, he's facing so much and still running for office, and you still see so many people supporting him. It's beyond belief. And make no mistake about it, this man has a lot of support, and let's not be ignorant about it, or let's pretend that just because some of us may not agree with him, there's a lot of people that like him and agree with him. And that is troublesome because this man is up to no good. And in the meantime, no one is talking about the issues. Everything is being talked about is Donald Trump, his cases, this and that. And we have homelessness, we have issue after issue affecting us. But Michelle, this is why it's very important for us to have this conversation.
Mhm.
And what is it that we can do as a community, as organizers, as
Well,
leaders,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, one of the things I think is the community has lost faith, right? I mean, who's really out there in the community talking about those issues for them and giving them a voice to speak? I don't really see it that often in my community. I know that we're doing it, but that's what needs to happen, right? A movement needs to happen. So in Feel the Burn, San Fernando Valley, we have core values that are surround building capacity, right? So growing our movement by collaborating with like-minded organizations, and I'm looking this way because I'm reading notes. Providing education about policies and legislation through community outreach, inspiration through innovation and actions, innovations through actions and ideas that other members come up with, right? Um, Communication, measuring those actions to create effective strategies, communicating with each other all the time and trying to figure out how these strategies can be improved. Um, being proactive, using methods to campaign efficiently and effectively for progressive policies and candidates. always having gratitude for each other's work and recognizing each other's work, um, and providing outstanding service to our communities is very important, so that they know that we're there for them. And encouraging and inspiring others to move into leadership roles is also very important. So these are the values that we fight for within community, within Field of Bern San Fernando Valley. And when we're talking about building community power, one of the key factors is community engagement. There has to be strategies developed to carry out these initiatives on community engagement, right? And there are levels of power within community, reaching out to communities. And one is community leaders. They represent the community. They have ownership in developing strategies moving forward. They make the decisions on collaboration based on what their core values are and what their goals are. Then there's shared power. It's creating partnerships with organizations. They share in the decision-making process, and they sit at the table with other community leaders. And then there's power through leadership and relationships, moving people into positions of greater power, developing relationships with other leaders to exercise power within the community. These levels of strategy all have to be taken in order to build capacity in organizing and creating a movement. As community leaders and organizers, we have to understand all of the benefits of community engagement. We realize that we must get the community engaged by providing information and a voice to speak about the issues and concerns they face on a daily basis. But most of the time, the understanding stops there, right? We never take it to the next level. There is also the importance in focusing on giving feedback to the community, letting them know that we're learning from them. In other words, allowing the community to drive the process and giving them the power to make decisions. That is how we get their buy-in and how we build trust and how we build capacity within our organizations and how we
So
build
right?
capacity.
So what's happening, Michelle, is, I mean, the just the art of organizing can be overwhelming because there's so many details that go into this, right? And
Right.
then
And that
there's
was my next topic. I was going
right,
to ask you, what are some of the barriers that we
and there are
face?
challenges, right? There are barriers. There's things that that we as organizers and other groups out there have a hard time because of those barriers that you were about to mention. Betty, maybe perhaps this would be a good time to bring you in and share those thoughts
I was
about
I was just
barriers that we encounter.
I was just listening to Michelle. It was really, I learned a lot just from hearing her speak right now. And I was thinking, I'll talk about the barriers, but I was thinking of being in service. I think at the core, when you're organizing because you want to be of service to the community. Okay, you have a goal to attain, but that goal ultimately is to serve the community. And I think that if that is what people are doing or trying to do in their lives, that it sometimes could get lost in the fact that you are actually doing this to service the community as a whole. And what I mean by community is those policies that we want to pass is going to serve the most people and most people that are vulnerable, because we need to lift from the bottom. We always need to keep that in mind, that we are trying to do what we do, and what we do is we're going to be of service, and try to do that for the most amount of people, and for those that are most vulnerable, those that are not in a position, not only not in a position to do for themselves, but also are, in a way that they're, bogged down. You talked about Trump, and I don't want to bring it back to Trump, but the thing is that the people that support Trump, I think they're looking for answers. they're looking, and sometimes certain people, what resonates more with them is someone that's going to actually, like tell them what to do, authoritarian types. And I think that's what Trump represents to them. But the bottom line is that nobody is helping them out. Nobody is being of service to them, and servicing the need that they have. And ultimately, as organizers, we can resonate with folks that we might not, particularly align with completely, by remembering that we're there to be of service. The gatekeeping is an issue with, sometimes it gets in the way, because when you collaborate,
that was my first thing, gatekeeping,
yeah,
being shut down by leadership from any organization.
yes. And I think with Feel the Bern San Fernando Valley, and Michelle, actually, when she was making the points, when she was speaking, is we always try to lift up the members, and put them into leadership positions. We try to be aware of what they're, the service that they're providing within the club and within the community, and we try to lift them up to be decision makers, to have a larger voice, because we all need to be kind of replicate. We got to replicate the leadership. We need to replicate the
So
leadership.
to make it clear, there are barriers when you're trying to organize your community that prevents sometimes from growing, or for things to actually happen, or for advancing a particular need that is within the community. And as you are, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that some of those challenges that organizers may have are the same leaders sometimes that prevent people from moving forward, or their communities from moving forward, because they don't want others to be taken away from them. So
Yeah, it's like
in a
sometimes
sense,
people feel like
threatened.
elevating other people into positions is diminishing their power. But only by doing that, um, especially when you see those potentials, see people's work, it is only building power in the community. It's only building community. You are getting stronger as an organization. You are getting stronger as an individual. And most of all, the people that you are servicing are getting stronger, and uh, they you know, are able to be empowered themselves.
They're growing. The communities are growing.
Hmm.
But so it's important to understand that when we organize in our communities, we are going to have challenges.
Yeah,
There are going to be barriers.
the system is designed to create challenges and barriers, right? So since the system is designed that way, it makes it really hard for the community to organize and to collaborate, because it creates silos, and um, it allows nothing to move forward, um, which in turn makes the community lack integrity for the organizers, right? They're like, wait a minute, you guys said that this was going to happen, and I don't see anything happening, and you know what I mean? And losing trust within your community is, as a community leader, is just something that you can't do. It's not part of the, of organizing. And so the barriers that are created by the system in itself is propaganda. And I think some people don't even recognize those barriers when they come up, because they're created to not move us forward. Right.
What are
There's
some of the other
there's
challenges?
also there's also being afraid that, right, you're not going to be able to create any wins, so you might let your community down, and you don't want to do that, right? Or you don't want the community to feel like that you let them down. So that's scary. That can be afraid, and that can turn people off from organizing. Sometimes you're afraid. What if we get out there and say we're going to do this and it doesn't happen? But you have to take risks, right? And you have to you have to let them know that you're going to be there for them no matter what. And you have to be able to make them trust you. And those are,
Another
those are
thing,
some barriers that I see besides leadership barriers within some organizations, which I think has a lot to do with.
how do you overcome those barriers in leadership when leadership is not being supportive? Let's say I'm going to be up front. Let's say the Democratic Party, they pretty much sometimes are so rooted in their establishment, in their ways. When there's new ideas or young people coming, with new ideas, they don't want to recognize that or give them the opportunities. Those are real things that happen. But let's say that it's not political, it's, organizations as well. There's people out there that have great ideas, but they are just not given the opportunities.
I mean that, yes, I completely agree. And that's totally part of it.
So how do you overcome that? I think that personally, what I have seen that is helpful is that, look, people want to do things for their community, for their communities, because they care for their communities, and they're tired of seeing the same things day in day out, week after week, month after month, year after year. So a lot of people, start are taking things to their own, to their own hands, to their own,
that's what we do
within their own community. This is good.
That's exactly what you do. Well, if you don't want to collaborate with us and we can't do that with you, then we're going to do this over here. And, we'll do a music video, or we'll do a light signs, or we'll do, you know what I'm saying? We'll do things that we think are going to move things forward. Now, we just don't push them aside or whatever. We just go and do what we're going to do. You know what I mean? Not to, put anybody down or anything, but this is the way we think that things will move forward. And the way things will move forward is to get out into your community. And as a community leader, I feel that I always have to check myself and step aside and make sure that I'm letting the community be heard, because that's my job. I'm the voice of the community, right?
Absolutely. And I think that I'll step back from what I said a little bit about service. I guess when it comes to service, I personally feel like I have to be of service to make some change to hopefully promote that. But by being of service, I mean of elevating other people in the community when we see that potential, elevating people that are stepping up, listening to people with the ideas that they have and trying to help them implement it. You know, it, you know, we only have so much capacity, but if we don't keep making leaders and giving people the opportunity to work through their ideas and support them, you know, people are going to become uninterested. People are going to lose hope. People are not going to have not be goal driven, and we lose capacity. We always try to build capacity by building leaders and supporting people that want to step up. And when I talk about service, I think the service is empowerment. The empowerment of the people in the community, the empowerment of people that want to step up and do something, and meeting people where they're at. And it is important to empower as many people as we can to that are working towards the mission, and for Feel the Burn for our mission values. And you can visit our website at Feel the Burn San Fernando Valley and take a look at some of the upcoming events that we have, some of the actions that we take, and events that we participate in solidarity with. We just try to be there for the community. We try to be of service, and part of our service is empowering community so they could pay it forward.
Exactly. So that leads me to another discussion that I'd like to have with you guys. And that is, as community leaders, how do we transform community engagement in this new age, right? And to me, we always have to ask ourselves why we're doing this in the first place. So that's something I ask myself every day. And because at times, like you said, Carlos, it can get extremely frustrating. Um, I think we need to realize um, anytime there is power on the table, there's always going to be conflict, period. We'll always be met with resistance from somewhere. And then, like we talked about before, we need to be the change that we want to see in other systems, right? We have to walk the walk, our own selves, in other words. And one big thing is to create a safe space for everyone to work together. That is extremely important. And I mean, what do you guys think? What are the other ways you think we can transform community engagement other than that?
So, in other words, you have to have when we're talking about safe space, that's pretty broad because it starts with welcoming people, making them feel welcome, making them feel that you matter here. Your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas are important, even if we don't use them right now. But you are being heard. You carrying something, a love for your community that we respect. Because I always say this: when I see volunteers, it really, really inspires me. Because volunteers don't have to volunteer; they doing it because they care. They want to see improvement to their communities.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that are really key and important in any organizing that you do, especially when you're dealing with volunteers or with people, concerned citizens, is that you welcome them. Even if you may not agree with what they have to say, listen to them. I think this is one of the things that we are lacking is that there's a lot of people that have the attitude that I am more holier than thou, or I have been here doing this for such a long time. I'm the only one that know how to manage this. You
Yeah,
know,
I totally agree, Carlos. You have to make room for new people to step up. You have to be welcoming. You have to meet people where they are. You try to find the commonalities, listen to them, and find out where it is that you can actually be of service and help, and how you can basically be of service to help empower them in what they're trying to what their goals are. Of course, those goals will have to align with your goals, but not necessarily everything that this person or that another an individual might align with you. But if you're working towards a common goal, you need to be able to listen and find that out from the person, and then empowering them in that mutual goal.
now I'm gonna throw a little wrench here in the engine because sometimes there are people that come to disrupt, and we do
Yes.
understand that. But you can identify those people and then you deal accordingly, right? But when Michelle talk about safe spaces, you know seniors need a safe space, a place where they feel that I'm going to be valued, and I cannot stand for long hours, but I want to help my community, and I'm going to feel that I'm going to be respected, right? Or the young people the same way. I remember that when some of these music, we go through phases of music. When, let's say, for example, hip hop, start coming on, some people like kind of, looking at that as something bad. But there's people that wise up and welcome our young people with their talents, right? And they elevated conversations that otherwise would not be elevated. So we cannot be afraid of change. We
I
gotta
think,
be, we
yeah,
gotta go with the flow.
I think like diversity within an organization, even Phil the Bern, we try to get as much diversity as we can, right? From anywhere from people anywhere from, teens all the way up until, you know, the 100. We want to get people of every type of diverse. That's really important. So that's one of our goals too. Diversity within an organization is really important because it gives you the opportunity to understand where those members are coming from when you have meetings and everything. So it's really important for the organizations to have diversity within their capacity.
I want to share the little story real fast, if you don't mind, Michelle. Um, we have a food market over in Hollywood, and there was a group that came to visit over there to the marketplace. It was a group of trans women, and one of them I saw in corner of my eye. I saw like she was way in the back behind the group, but she was in a wheelchair. Her name is Giselle. I know that she doesn't mind me sharing her story, but she was in a wheelchair, a trans woman, and she looked really like there was no glow to her. She was down, and I approached her and asked her name. Her name is Giselle, and I told her, I asked her, I say, I need some help at the food pantry. I need some volunteers. Can you come and help? And she looked at me and she looked at her wheelchair. She looked at me like almost asking, are you stupid or what? Don't you see me in a wheelchair? But I said, I really, really need your help. To make the story short, she showed up the next time on Tuesday when we had the food pantry. She's been there over a year. She comes there every week to volunteer, and her spirit has been lifted. She glows, she feels value, and she participates. And that's, Michelle, I think what you're talking about. Being able to create a sense of worth in every person and give them the opportunities and not be
Mm-hmm.
afraid.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
So if you're sitting, at home and you are seeing your community, really broken down and stuff, but you feel that you want to do something about it, well, how can we encourage the people? What will you do, Michelle? What do you think, Betty? How do we approach this?
Okay, me.
Either one of you.
I thought it was general. Go ahead, Michelle. I saw you.
No, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that question.
Well,
Well, I mean, I mean, are you saying like what do we want power to look like in this new
No,
transformation of
I'm
organizing?
thinking of people that are that don't know how to get started. Put it that way. They want to get involved. They just don't know how to get started. And you as a club, I know you have outreach,
Exactly.
right?
You have to get out into your community and you
Okay.
have to listen to the people and let them know that you're there for them.
But
I
but
mean,
when
that
you
is the
guys do
key.
your outreach, I know you guys go like to parks, to
mhm.
concerts. What is it that you do? What is it that is attracting people to your organization? Because you guys are growing.
Yeah, well, I think it is for the most part. You know, I have to say that we actually work on issues that we believe that, like I said, are will service the most amount of people, and that is hitting on what the community needs. And I think that attracts people. Democratic clubs, a lot of people look at Democratic clubs, they're like, oh, some people in the progressive movement, they're just, oh, well, that's too establishment. And then others think that it's all about, getting behind a candidate or even just a federal race. And for Field of Bern, we really focus quite a bit on issues. Two of our big issues that we focus on is Medicare for all, single payer healthcare. And the other issue that we're working on now is justice for renters, which is rent control. These are two huge issues in everybody's life. You can hear that wherever, and that's why we focus on them. They're part of our mission statement and our values. And we hear it everywhere we are. We read it in a newspaper, read it in an article, talk to people in the community, see it on the news program. These are the main issues people are struggling with. So we get behind policies that we feel are going to help. And we get out into the community and we talk to them about it and we listen to what they have to say too. What are they struggling with? And a lot of the times people just say, oh, what is this? What is this your justice for renters? What is this cal care? What is this? And we have the information available and we just speak to them and we listen to their stories. And then we ask them to join us in helping us. It's not just getting behind a candidate, though we do electoral vote work. We will get behind candidates that we feel especially are aligned with our values. And usually those are folks that are, not the ones that are going to be receiving the most money, but we'll do whatever we can to support them in out in the community. That means because we do a lot of outreach. So we're out there at the parks. We're out there. Yesterday, we were at the Chicano Moratorium, 53rd in East Los Angeles. Even though we're from we're based in the Valley, we are supportive of all communities that are adjacent. And we went out there and we just talked to people and we showed them there is a way and there is hope and there are people working on this, and come and join us. And we
How
just
did the
listen
people
to what they have to
respond
say.
when
Oh,
you
they
were
were
there,
they
when they
loved
saw
it.
you? How
Oh,
did they respond?
people that, I really was, people signed up to volunteer. People signed up for more information. People actually snatched up multiple flyers that we had to give back, to bring back to their neighborhoods, to give them, to say there's something there. There's something out there that's, that we can help, and that's going to help ourselves. And so it was very responsive. One elderly gentleman came over and he said that he is paying $1,500 to live in a garage. Live in a garage.
Jesus.
$1,500, and he was a senior. And this is a growing population that is becoming unhoused, and it's becoming this is a huge issue, especially with seniors. And I couldn't believe it. So he took our information, and we took his, and we're going to communicate again. We just try to keep up the communication between the people that will come over and speak to us, and we'll mill around in actual wherever we are, whatever event it is. We don't just sit behind the table. We'll get around in the community and let people know in the event of what's happening and what we're doing, and how they can join us.
Yeah. And I don't know about Betty, but I've always had this personal thing where I've never wanted Feel the Bern San Fernando Valley to be some type of political platform or anything like that. So that's just, I've always felt like that. I'm sure we all do. The community is the most important thing, and hearing what their problems are is the most important to us.
Now, the important thing about your club is that you guys have a structure, which is it's important, because then that makes sure that if you are going to be spending amount of resources for a specific campaign, that's what the membership has agreed to, and then
Mhm.
everybody pushes at the same time with both hands,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So that's part of the importance of building community organizing, in the fact that you're working as a community.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You're
Exactly.
doing outreach to a community by the community, and
Right.
you're able to
Absolutely.
relate, because we all going through this. The rent is to them high everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
people listen. You're connecting with people,
Exactly.
and if we are going to bring any changes to our communities, is when we start organizing our communities, connecting, with the issues that are affecting all of us.
Yep.
And you
Yeah.
cannot fight that.
Yeah.
That's a
Um,
non-political stuff.
yeah,
Because
totally.
when the communities are suffering, everybody's suffering.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And that's why we find that, look, I'm not going to say we do electoral politics, that's how we came together. We got behind Bernie and we found like-minded people. That's why we're Field of Bern, San Fernando Valley, that believed in those same values. But what was it about Bernie was that his values resonated with us and his goals resonated, his mission resonated with us. So without Bernie doesn't mean that we don't continue to strive to meet those values and make them real. And so the issues are more important. I know people want to say, oh, Bernie people are cult of personality. No, they weren't. It was because of his platform that we were following him because listen, we need everything that was in his platform. And we created our mission statement around that. It's just basic. It's very basic. A roof over your head, affordable housing, health care for all, and when you need it, and not and if you don't have any money, we're gonna, that's okay because we all need it. You know, education that's free. These are just three of the, these values that we are trying to meet that resonates for everybody in our communities, across communities. That's it's important to us and it's important in the communities, and that's what we're trying to move forward.
Yep.
So let's not fool ourselves. Uh, the problems that exist in the community are, affecting all the community.
Well, yeah. I mean, and
Uh,
that's why we
it's
do.
affecting
Yeah.
everybody.
We
Listen,
Even if
definitely
you,
relate to every single person that we talk to out
right,
there
right.
at some
listen,
level.
if when you talk about economies and economics, okay, if somebody is not doing well economically, it's going to affect the person that is doing well economically. It will affect you.
Yeah.
If you don't give opportunity to folks that don't have it, it will affect you.
And what a better way to point out to the unhoused crisis. You know, nobody
Oh,
likes
yeah.
to see tents up and down the street.
Mm-mm.
Even though that you may have a job, you may be well off, and you have a roof over your head, it's affecting you
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you
I
have to
mean,
see this.
Yeah, and
It's affecting.
the answer isn't trying to uh you know uh um jail people,
Need to have
that are homeless.
solutions. The
That
longer we
will
go without solutions, so
jailing
you have a lot of
people.
NIMBYs,
Yeah.
not in my backyard, but the longer you keep blocking for people to have access to housing because
Hmm.
you don't want it in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
the longer it's going to remain there.
Jailing people is going to affect you because jailing people costs way more money than housing people. Okay. So you can't complain about your taxes if all you're doing is saying that I don't want affordable housing in my neighborhood or to service people that are in need in my neighborhood. I just want them out of my view, out of my sight. And if you have to jail them, you jail them. Well, you know what?
You're not resolving nothing though,
You're not resolving anything, and you will be making it worse for yourself.
right? And
And
it keeps growing.
yeah, and it's just, it's, yes,
and
it keeps
and I
going.
will say that people are still feeling the burn out there. I mean, people will come up and be like, "I'm still feeling the burn," and they like what we're doing. They appreciate us being out there. Um, lately they've really appreciated us, and we've had some great conversations with people.
Mm.
And so to me, there is so many ways that we can try to exercise this power, right? We can try to activate our membership and get more membership. I mean, that's what we need to do. um, we do community leadership development activities like what we're doing now, having this building community organizing discussion. We engage our allies in working with this. We make sure that we have effective communications with all the community, and let them know what we're doing and let them know we're here for them and let them know we're fighting for their issues. We have exercising power. We have a commonly understood organizing model, like you just said. Carlos and I actually didn't even know we had one of those until you kind of said we did, which is
You
really
have a
weird.
structure.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. A well-developed and informed and adaptive strategies, which we do, right? And they're innovative and they're creative and they're fun. And they get
all
people,
this happened,
looking at us.
right? And all this happened, Michelle, because you guys came together.
Yeah.
You know, it
I mean,
didn't
you have
exist
to have
before.
a series of targeted collective actions. And these
love it.
actions have to be measured, and you have to create strategies if those actions didn't work. So you did an action, some things went wrong. Okay, let's discuss it. Okay, let's change it for next time. I mean, and then you continue down that path, and that creates power, right? Also, another thing that creates power to me is like if you have people that want to organize, you figure out what they love to do and what they're passionate about, and you set them up in those roles. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a support team. And they have a support
Yeah,
team.
and they have a support team to help them. Yeah,
Exactly.
and then having power to me is where you can determine that changes have been made, right? And we've actually done that in Bern, San Fernando Valley, right? I can give you examples, and I don't know if you want to actually go there, but there are several examples that we can give. We got CalCare the last time it was in the assembly. We got it to the city council floor and had them approve it. You know, there's things that we did, and we made wins, and we can determine that we did that, right? And that makes you know that you have power, right? What else? Having power to me looks like representation of community leaders in positions of power in the community, right? That's what to me that looks like. That would be great. That shows power, right? When community
And
leaders
you're letting your
actually have
voices be
representation. Yeah.
right. And you're letting your voices be heard because now you're a group, a very active group that politicians cannot ignore. They simply cannot ignore you guys.
Well, we'll go into that in a minute when Betty introduces what we're doing next.
What are we doing next?
But we talk about the Founders Day event. But anyway,
Founders Day,
yeah, and community leadership must be engaged and shared in decisions. And when we share in decisions that are made, that's power. That's all I can tell you guys. I mean, what is power to you guys? What does it look like to you? I mean, that's what power looks like to me. When you see that when the community, power is change.
So when my daughter was young, like we used to go to like this mommy and me class, you know, and they used to sing the song, or like Song Time says, it said, "Love is something if you give it away. Love is something if you give it away." That's how I feel about power. Okay, and empowering people. It's only something if you give it away. You give it to others. It becomes something.
Totally.
It's not. It's nothing if you just hold on to it yourself and you don't spread that around to build.
Exactly.
Yeah, because what good does it do for someone to have hundreds of billions of dollars and they're doing nothing, and people are starving to death in many countries, and there is no clean waters where they can, by a fraction of what they have, can actually wipe out hunger, literally wipe it out.
Yep.
But you have all these people, you know what I mean? That have.
I mean,
I'm not gonna say all these people. You have, billionaires.
Yeah, just a small concentration of billionaires that are just basically keeping the money to themselves and just using that money to build more money instead of building in the community and building for, better lives for everybody. The child tax credit, for example, that they had a child tax credit that they put that in place during the pandemic. Do you know how many people that lifted out of poverty? It was just a little bit of money. It wasn't a lot of money, you know, but it lifted so many people out of poverty and they took it away. You know,
Yeah.
they decided to take it away and backtrack
Mhm.
it. It just takes a little bit, you know, it just takes a little bit of giving, you know,
We've
to help
seen,
other folks
and I
come
wish I
be
remember the
lifted
name
up.
of this guy, but we've seen athletes that actually have sponsored students and paid their tuition for college, for university. You know, how beautiful is that? And
It,
those are simple acts of love.
Mm.
it's really beautiful, and it's wonderful, but you know, in my opinion, like giving the tax credit out to families, this was us as a community. Government is us. We elect people to represent us, to use the tax dollars that they take from us in a way that helps the community at large, and it helps our country.
Which
So
is something that we often remind people.
and
They
we
forget about
and the fact is,
that.
yeah, the fact is, you know, the fact is giving people that little bit of money, the child tax credit, to help them during a really pressing time, help lift people out of poverty, and we should keep on doing it. We
Mhm,
see the results of putting our tax dollars to work. We saw an absolute result like
mhm.
that, and we didn't, and we decided we're going to stop it. Why? Because it's costing too
Because
much
it's
money.
working.
Yeah,
Because it's working for the
well,
people.
actually,
It's
you're
making
right,
a
because
difference in
it's
their life.
working. It is absolutely you're right. It's
Yeah.
because absolutely working.
Mhm.
And
We're
I'm
like, oh, that
sorry.
worked. We don't need any more.
Exactly. So
Well,
could you
you remember
imagine?
during the pandemic, you remember during the
Oh,
pandemic, they reluctantly gave people, what was it, $600, and
Yeah,
it took them forever to
oh,
give
yeah.
six
Yeah,
hundred
I
dollars of
remember.
their
Yeah.
own money.
exactly. And the
And most
fact is,
people used it immediately because they needed it.
yeah, they needed it. People were
But,
not at work. People not
but
working.
it was
You,
so shameful to see the politicians holding down to the money that belonged to the people when
yeah,
they
it's
needed it
not
the
their
most.
money.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Right.
you know, it's not their money. It's our money, and we're supposed to be putting it back into for the people and in communities so that we could thrive, and we, you know, and we can be happy. But it's not. It's being put towards people that have, you know, it's being put towards corporations that can pay high-powered lobbyists to, you know, basically get them more and more money at the top.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow. You've been watching Stand Up Fight Back. We come here every Sunday at 7 p.m. At least we try to be here every Sunday. And today our guest is Michelle Bern and also Betty Doumas-Toto. And they are with the Field of Bern San Fernando Club in San Fernando. And we're discussing building community organizing. Our time is almost up, but Michelle, what can we expect in the next few segments or the next rather other episodes that you will put together for us? What are some of the topics that you're going to be discussing?
Diving deeper into what we discussed today, diving deeper into organizing, um, and how organizing is developed from the ground up, and the strategies that you can create and lessons learned that you can do within your organizations to help improve efficiency when it comes to
Wow.
community organizing. Also, so just so you know, so I work at a social justice consulting company, and I have to just tell you some of the quotes that the owners have said that have really inspired me as a community leader and as a project manager in social justice. And lately, they've given these quotes, and I've been so inspired. So the other day, he said it's a journey, and the journey is a destination. He said it's not a. He said it's a movement, not a program. That was my favorite. Um, he said the community members co-create and co-own the strategies and the solutions. Um, he said, you have to look at the whole picture of your community, know the ecosystem from the culture to the organizations, to the clubs, to the nonprofits, to the legislators. and other community leaders to really build power within the community. And always reward your work and always promote self-care.
And what we were talking about before we came into the broadcast is that we see organizations like yours and community leaders, as I describe it, as when I was in the service, we had a group of specialized troopers that they call the pathfinders. They were sent before the companies were to moving into a battlefield. They went to find paths for them to follow. They risked their lives. They went through jungles. They looked at all the obstacles that were in there. They removed all those barriers so that others may be able to walk through. So when you build in community organizing, you are doing that with the intentions to become a pathfinder for our communities to be able to become safe and prosperous, and as Betty say, to thrive. We are pathfinders. That's what we are when we are building community organizing. We are finding paths to safety, to love, to fairness, to justice. Betty, the Field of Bern San Fernando Club are having an event pretty soon.
We are. We're actually having our Founders Day, our first Founders Day celebration. And we're going to be doing that at the Sagebrush Cantina in Calabasas on September 8th at starting at about 6 o'clock. And that's a Friday night. And it's going to be fun. We're doing our best to keep it at, and it will be at the $27 traditional Bernie donation. And we will have dinner, we'll have music, dancing, special speakers. We'll be giving some awards out to some of our members and other founders. And Carlos, you're going to be there. And we have to say thank you to Carlos because he actually did help Michelle and I meet. We met at one of your, we have been kind of in the same orbit, and then we finally kind of clunked into each other at an action that you put together in Hollywood when Bernie first decided he was going to run in 2020. We had a march in Hollywood, and we kind of just all collided at that particular point in a good way. And so yeah, Founders Day. And I did drop it on the Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, I did drop a link to come join us. And I also dropped the link because we are having a membership drive up until culminating at September 8th. So please become a member. The more people, the better that we can build capacity and build more of our community organizing out. So please join us at our event. It'll be a lot of fun. We like to, that's our reward, is kind of, we like to break loose and have fun along with the work that we do for the community.
Yeah, and you can also become a sponsor if you'd like to. We have a sponsor program also on that website. And yeah, and we've had some great sponsors already. And that's what I was going to point out, is that our activism and organizing within our community has been seen, obviously, by our assembly member, Jesse Gabriel. And so he sponsored the event for us for $500. And I was very, very shocked, pleased, very appreciative, and shocked at the same time. But so this showed us that, yes, the legislators are seeing the work that we do, and they know that we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
we're noticing. I seen you guys grow by leap and bounds, and it's very inspiring. And you guys are nonstop, very collective. I was gonna say calm, but you guys are not calm. You guys are pretty much out there doing your thing. But it's like
a little frenetic. We're like frenetic.
You guys are nonstop. We are organizing also a day of Night of Poetry, October the 4th, excuse me, it was revised to October the 18th. Is going to be Food for Thought. That's
Ah,
the title of the event. Is we are working with Matt Cedillo, uh, a poet of the movement, and he's bringing together other poets. It's going to be the night. I'm going to be posting a little more information later on, but look, there's things that are happening. We are coming towards the end of summertime. We are supporting our brothers and sisters that are out there on the picket lines. We're going to be starting a food pantry specifically tailored for um, for those people that are on strike through Food for Health programs or at AIDS Healthcare Foundation, where I happen to work at. But there's many other things. We have the Justice for Renters as well, right? That's going
yes,
to be a full-blown campaign that you guys are going to be hearing a lot about
yes,
because all of us need to get involved in that. California is facing a very serious housing crisis, and especially when it comes to renters. So we're going to be talking about all that in the near future. Stay tuned. We're very excited to have Michelle and Betty with us, and I know that there's other broadcasts that they're going to be coming on to keep this conversation going, building community organizing. Any last thoughts, Michelle? I'll go to you first.
Um, Not that I can think of right now. Come and join us. If you want to get involved, and we're very supportive and loving and welcoming. So join us. feeltheburnsfb.org.
Betty?
definitely. Yeah, definitely join us at our Founders Day, become a member. And the other thing I wanted to say is that we are coming up on Labor Day, and please support the unions. Unite Here 11, the hotel workers will have several events and things happening on Friday and on Monday. If you visit our website, we're going to be having some more information, for you guys to get involved. It's important that we do support the union members. Unions have done so much for us and have established so much that you probably don't even realize the work week and the weekend and child labor. These are things that if the unions didn't exist, we wouldn't have. And we need to stick by our unions and their members.
Well, thank you for being with us tonight. And thank you out there, wherever you may be watching us from. You've been watching Stand Up Fight Back, where we discuss strategy analysis for the progressive movement. We here on Sundays at 7 o'clock, or at least we try to be every Sunday. But thank you for watching. I will be traveling this coming week. We are establishing a new food program over in Baltimore.
Mm.
So, very excited about that. Being able to also have a couple appointments in DC to speak to some of the representatives. But look, we are here we dedicate our lives to fight for the community. And this is what Feel the Bern San Fernando Club is doing. They're fighting for the community. They're giving their all. They are very dedicating in every sense of the word. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Betty, for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Carlos. Good night,
Carlos.
everybody.
Thanks.
Good
Good
night,
night,
everybody. Be
everybody.
safe.